Hello, my diehards. How are you doing today? How is life? Welcome to tiesvsdyes. We are going to be taking you through another walkthrough tutorial episode. We are doing a Mandela star as well as a half Mandela sleeve special and a full Mandela spine. So stay tuned and see how we're going to shoot this, and hopefully you'll be able to do the same. So first things first, you're going to need a yardstick as I have here and a washable marker. I would suggest to get just a full pack of washable markers. That way you can have a variety of colors to choose from and use during your mapping out of your projects. So right here we are prepping the shirt, and initially we're just going to go through and we're really mapping out the geometry of the shirt right now. And the reason that I mapped it out this way, I wanted to kind of showcase that this is typically going to be your best bet if you're looking for precision and you're looking for something that is going to really be professionally accomplished. I would suggest that you go this route, and I don't always like to go this route. I kind of like the more laid back vibe of it, but this is also the extent of what it could be taken to. So I just wanted to showcase that and really show that it's there's a broad range of how to accomplish your tie-dye projects. And so yeah, you see me here just mapping out the different folds of the shirt that could potentially be. I chose a red washable marker, that way hopefully it would jump out a little bit more of the shirt. But notice all these can be implemented for multiple shirt designs, not just this single design. So keep that in mind and keep it at the forefront. This is what you're going to want to start thinking in terms of, and this is what you're going to want to start doing in order to get a satisfied, happy result with your tie-dye projects. But yeah, so you see me here, I'm continuing to map out that shirt, and this is going to be for that star Mandela. And right here we are doing the mirror fold. That is the classic mirror fold. If you've seen it, it gets easier as time goes on, so just continue practicing that and you will be a master at it in no time. Practice makes perfect. So nothing is ever going to really account for just experience and practice. You got to really put in the hours of time to get good at it. I do believe that this shirt here took me about an hour and 30 minutes or so to complete, but let's get into the folding of this star. This is an important part I wanted to showcase. And so notice me here going into this fan fold. And so this is a different style of technique than I've used often on this show. And what I'm actually doing here is a fan fold, but it's a different way to utilize it. So initially we would do the star map out, and then we'll just fan fold from one end all the way to the other. But to get the maximum of dye absorption and to get the good color separation and the good detail lines that we want, what you want to do is you start at the top, work your way to the middle, then you go to the bottom and you work your way to the middle, and then you tie both those sides together in the middle on that line, still on the line you mapped out. And then you want to go back and touch up those folds, because we need those folds to be as consistent and as even and as evenly spaced and separated as well as possible. That way when we do our binding, and that way when we do get into the dye absorption application process rather, it ends up being fluid all the same. And so right here you just see me utilizing these binder clips. That's another one that I recommend that you use. The binder clips come in very handy. And then I am using fishing line. This is probably not the shortest or the smallest gauge fishing line, but probably one above that. So it's really flexible, it's really malleable. It's not that strong though, to where you can snap it if you try to overbind with it. And so just keep that in mind and keep that something at in your mind's eye as you do this process rather. And so right here I'm just going back and touching up some of these folds as we start the binding process. And remember that initial bind that you put down, you want that to be a really bold, heavy starting and stop point. And so I recommend that you go heavy on that. I wrap it around maybe 10-15 times sometimes, just to get that bold separation on the main front mandala of this shirt. And that goes throughout the whole project, as you'll see here. And so after that we're going to get into the different binding, and so now we're going into the 45-degree angles on this bind. And so notice that I'm taking care to keep those folds as even and as symmetrical as possible. That's why utilizing your binder clips is really going to be helpful. It's really going to be a positive thing if you choose to do so. I definitely recommend it very much. But yeah, so, and see how I'm moving that binder clip over as I'm utilizing it? That way it's like having a third hand, a fourth hand when you utilize them, and it really comes in helpful. There's really no substitute for that, I would say. But keep count on how I am being sure to keep that fold as even as possible. I'm still going back and fiddling with them throughout the whole duration, because they start to slip and they start to move as you start to bind the shirt. And so just keep that in your mind and be aware that that is something that will happen. That being said, they do not need to be 100% perfect, but you want to try to keep them as tight as possible, because that will give you the most favorable and the most precise design finish when you are done with the dye application after we're done binding here. And so right now I'm just going back over those different binds that I put down and just reinforcing them. I like to wrap it maybe 2 or 3 times and then I pull it tight, but another way to do it is to just kind of pull tight throughout the whole entire binding process. And so that way you don't really need to cinch it ever. You're pulling it as tight as you can without breaking the bind, but just keep that in mind and keep the bind in mind. That's a good way. That's what we're going to say. That's how we're going to say it. And so we like to typically use this fishing line. We use sinew and we use floss as well, and rubber bands, of course. If there's anything else that you use, please drop it in the comments. Let us know. Maybe we could have a conversation about the best ones and the different pros and cons of each, to where that would be a good discussion to have. We're not going to have it here, but we could possibly have it another day, so keep that in mind. But yeah, and then right here I'm going back over each of those little nubs, and I am shooting some more detail lines with this fishing line through the center of each of those. And when we get into the dye application, you can either divide each little subsection into pieces, well, bits and pieces, or you can just do the whole thing and get a good detail line through it, so keep that in mind. And so we're done with the star fold, and now we're going to just get into a full mandala for the spine. And the reason that I chose this is because I really wanted to do a full range of mandalas on this shirt, but I wanted the star mandala to be the front piece. And I think that I really wanted to showcase the main part of doing that fold, and so that was the point of that. But yeah, so also keep this in mind too, that practice makes perfect, so just stay with it. And if it's something that you're passionate about and if it's something that you're inspired with, then you will continue to create and you'll continue to be part of the tie-dye nation. And so keep that in mind. And another thing, but yeah, so I also wanted to mention that when trying to find inspiration for these different designs, sometimes it can be difficult, sometimes it can be challenging, and I would say to anyone looking for inspiration or looking for answers to find inspiration, what helps me a lot and what I was told by my wife is actually that, just continue to live life and continue to do you and do what makes you happy, and with that, inspiration will come. Another thing that helps that is meditation. Try to clear your mind, because this is definitely a spiritual thing for me, and it's definitely a relaxing, and it's a form of meditation, doing these different applications. But that being said, what I'd like to do personally and what I would recommend is just kind of go with the flow. If you're really trying to get your tie-dye game up to par, it's not always about inspiration necessarily. You don't always need to be creating the next Mozart or the next Michelangelo of the tie-dye world. A lot of times just practice makes perfect. And so if you're looking to stay busy and stay doing what you love, go back and work on some of those folds that you have gotten down, and maybe you could learn to master them. Maybe you could learn to fill up that cup with your scrunch technique or with your spiral technique or with whatever technique it may be that you're using at the time. And if there's one that you don't do so well, maybe just practice on that, and in time you'll get better for sure. And that's the way it goes, prevailing minds, so just keep it at the forefront, keep it in your mind's eye, and keep it as something that you want to have accomplished. And as long as you push forward every day, as long as you learn something new about it every day, then you'll be a master at it in no time. So keep that in mind and just think about that. And if you have any other recommendations for finding inspiration, drop it in the comments and we could have a discussion about it. And so right here we're doing the half mandala sleeves, and for this I'm doing a different technique, which is just using these rubber bands here and I'm going to go back over it with floss I believe I used in this project. And so just realize how I'm doing it, just separating it into equal nubs up the mandala, and then you come back in after with those detail lines from the floss or from the sinew or whatever it is. And so right here we're actually doing more of a trip style fold, and so notice how we just scrunched it up in little equal increments. And so that is the reason that we like to do it this way. I really like to have that kind of unpredictable, smoky, cloudy randomness, cool tie-dye look with all the blended colors that the trip style kind of comes with. And then I like to fold the rest of my pieces to be a little bit sharp, so we're going to have a sharp mandala finish on the front, the back, and the sleeves, and the cloudy trip style is going to pull all those together. And so you want to start thinking in terms of that, of separating your shirt into equal parts, and then what designs can you pull from those equal parts that you've separated. And so just know that there's a million different ways to do a million different things, so just keep that in mind and don't let it ever get you down. And let these videos, and let videos that show people showcasing their best works, let it be an inspiration to you rather than a deterrent, because I know it can get a bit discouraging at times when you are trying to attain a good method and you just see perfection everywhere. I know it can be hard, so just try to look at it in a positive vibe and try to aspire to be like that rather than to let it bring you down or let it discourage you. It should always be encouraging, so just keep that in mind. And so right here we're going through the different dye applications. The first color that we laid down was what's it? We laid down lemon yellow. We also laid down green. We also laid down a couple different blues. I'll tag out a punch line, actually. I'll tag out a punch list rather, and I'll put that in the video so that way you can have it as well, so you can know which colors we utilized. And so that is going to be a big part of it. And this is a soda ash that we applied after. But okay, let's get into the finished project. Here we go. So this is that finished front fold star mandala and that trip style around the edges of it. And I really took time on this part, and so I really wanted to showcase the different results that we get from using this style and this method. And this is without any editing. This is without any tones or anything shifted. This is the actual color and the boldness and the brightness of this shirt when you do it this style, and then you follow it through to the end. So yeah, notice that those separation lines. And here we go again. This is the same shirt under a black light. This is not any color shifting or anything like that. This is just under a black light, and it's pretty cool because one of the colors that we utilized was a neon glow-in-the-dark color, and so that's why you can see it popping out like that throughout the shirt. And so yeah, so check that out. I hope that you gained some knowledge from this video. We hope that it helped in some way, shape, or form. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to ask. And we hope to see you in the next one. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your patience. Thank you for staying through with this video to the end. We hope that you are still out there tie-dyeing. Do not let anything stop you from tie-dyeing. So we will see you next time. Tie-dye the world. All right, we love you. Bye.